Hey, good afternoon. Let's see. Just getting ready to show you how to cut this out. And I need background fabric, 8-inch, 2.5 by 8-inch. We'll just cut it from here. How's everybody doing today? Do we have sound? I'm leery now every time I turn this on. We are going to be making the Starlit Rings table topper. 3 stars. If you've always wanted to make a double wedding ring, but didn't want to do all that piecing, this is a great one. And I'm sure there are tons of beautiful fabrics that this would make up into. Let's see, for this one, we're going to do the middle ring today. That would be this one. So I need one of these. A part B and a part A. Yes. Just gonna lay the foundation on the back side of the fabric. Part B does not have to be fully covered. The end 2 pieces, you're gonna sew pieces of fabric on there, so those do not need to have this fabric underneath them. We're gonna trim down at both ends. Okay, so we have these. We'll set this aside. There will be more to do. And I need 2 of these, a part A and a part B. Part B, right side up. And a part A. Like that. I just flatten those out. And grab my scissors. Well, they're right here. Now, if I was cutting out for the whole thing, which I probably should have done earlier, but I kind of wanted you to see how to do this. So on these 2 strips of fabric that I've already placed a part A and part B on, you would do all that you would need for the quilt. So that's 2, 4, 6 of the turquoise, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 of each one. So it's 4 part A's, 4 part B's of each color. So I'm just going to do 2 of each today to get us started. Actually, I need 4 of this one. 2 part A's and 2 part B's. I can actually scoot that down a little bit. But you cut 12-inch strip by width of fabric and then open it up and place these part A and part B on the wrong side of the fabric. And let's see, part B. Want to put it so we can read the writing. And then I just hit him a little bit with the iron. And it just, there's no glue. This is not fusible. Just, it gives it just enough static electricity that it will hold it on there, usually, till you get it to the sewing machine. And I suppose you could spray base this if you wanted. Okay, so those are ready to baste. Let's get this all over here. As I have one more or two more things that I need to get cut. I have part C and part E. We'll need two of the melons, 4 of the corners, and then we're also going to need the other corners to make the star. And I do believe these are the foundations for the 4 corners. I need for the stars, I need to cut from the number 4 dark and number 4 light, cut a 6.5 inch by width of fabric strip and recut these. Okay, so we're gonna do, this is 1/4 yard. So we're gonna do, this is a 6-inch ruler. I'll leave just a little extra there for the 1/2 inch. Boy, I think I definitely need a new blade. And then we need to cut. I'll leave the fabric doubled and I'll cut off the selvage. And they need to be 2.5 by 6.5, and I need 12. There's 2.5. There's 2. Four. I should have done both at the same time. I normally would. 4, 6. 8. 10. 'Hello from North Carolina. Whoops, get this full. There we go. And I lost count. I think that's my 12. 1, 2, or 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so those are the star points for the whole quilt. And I'm going to do the same thing with the darker lavender, light purple, whatever it is. Let's see, there's a 1/2 inch, so we'll just do that, put that aside. And then I'm going to do this a little quicker. Let's see, my fold's right there. We'll make sure we get all the... So I'm cutting 4 at a time this way. 4. 8. 12. So all the star points are cut, and I have background to cut for the star ones. And we're going to cut those at, where's my part D? The background fabric, I want 2.5 by 8. I'm not going to cut them all right now. I'm going to cut this. Ta-da! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put that over there, and cut the selvage off. Two and a half by 8. And I'm going to show you another close-up of the one that's done. So I want to show you how I quilted it. I quilted it on my baby lock. But I did a small grid in the melon part. I did in the ditch around the diamond, and then I did an echo one. I did in the ditch on the arcs, and I did an echo there. And then out here, I didn't quilt the rings at all. And out here on the sides, I did my echo. I came up and I did my echo and went down this way. And I used my presser foot as my measure for the distance. And so that it only overlaps down to here. You have the squares like in here. You can see that. But then it's just the echo quilting there and here. And that's all I did. It was real fast, and it's very easy to do on a domestic machine. So you should be able to get this one done pretty rapidly. Okay, I'm going to put those foundations over there. I'm going to take one of these sets, and we're going to baste it. I'm just moving it all over the place, and I guess I should put it like this so the right side's facing up. And this one, right side is facing up. Plenty of room. Okay, so then I'm just going to start right there. Get myself settled here. And just start stitching between the solid line and the broken line. Hold it all in place, and you want to keep it nice and flat. Hi, Lorraine. you guys that have been watching Laura, didn't that stars for my table runner come out gorgeous? I love it. I'm doing great. Bob and I had to run some errands this morning, so this didn't. Oh, I hope I'm not stitching that one down. I pulled it off. I am. Get my needle up here. Stitching two for the price of one. How much of it got stitched in? Oh, the whole length. Oh, great. Well, you know what I'm going to do is before, that's not going to get, yeah, well, I'll pull that one over. See, they're so thin you can't tell. And I had them stacked. I'll do the other one so we can get started sewing. That's why it's nice to be using a regular size stitch. It's not so hard to take your stitching out. Like the stitch size you use in paper piecing, I would have just thrown this whole thing away if this was on paper. Because by the time I took that line of stitching out, the paper would be coming apart, and I'd have to tape it, make sure I got it back precisely. There was a lot, when I was in my paper piecing days, there was a lot of paper parts with fabric on them that got tossed. It just was, it just wasn't worth it. It took so much time to take the stitching out, to repair the paper, and just all that. So this will come right out. Easy, easy, easy. But you don't want to distort this. You want to keep it flat. Like I say, you could spray baste it. On the one I was working on Tuesday, that gorgeous wedding star quilt, I got all the numbers figured out. So I have fabric quantities figured out, and I actually started doing the photographs for the instructions. So I think that pattern's going to be out much sooner than I had originally anticipated. So I'm really excited about that. Let's see if I can take this stitching out quickly. I don't know where that thread came from. Get started. Don't want to rip a hole in my foundation. Oh, look at that. That's going to... See, what I did is I grabbed this off the piece underneath. This was on another piece of this fabric, and when I lifted the one, I got the extra foundation. I don't usually take my seams out like this. You guys will laugh at me. I unstitch. I pull on the thread to lift up each stitch, and I pull it out. So when I'm done, I don't have any little short pieces of thread. I told you guys, I love thread, but I hate it. I hate little bits of thread here and there, or long things. I would love, see, I think I just put a hole in my foundation. It'll be fine. That's why I always say take it out on the foundation, on the fabric side. But this has foundation on both sides, so kind of screwed. Here we go. Almost done. As I hate sitting here having to pick all these little short threads out. Sometimes what works good to get all the threads out is a lint roller. You know, like with a tape. See, now you can't even tell that other than the threads, but you can't tell that I stitched on it. It is self-healing. Oh, get back where you belong. Okay, so we'll take this thread. Yeah, this is a pretty easy one. I should have brought out the great big quilt that we made this way. We made it at Laura's when I was there in, when was I there? In March? No, it was before that. When we were there last year in September or November, we did the great big, what do we call it? Double wedding ring rail quilt. It's the big double wedding ring with rail blocks. Okay. Oh, for the border. If you want to make a big quilt and make it fast, these blocks are awesome for that because you don't have to piece the arcs. They're just the one piece of fabric. Still pulling threads out. Anyway, if I was making this, you know, not on this show, I would sit and put a good movie on, and I would do all of the parts for this. I would baste all the parts, and then I would sit and I would trim them all, so everything would be ready to sew together. Yeah, when I teach a class, I always talk about the threads and how they drive me crazy. And as I walk around helping everybody and checking to make sure that everybody's got it dialed in, I see these threads hanging, and I'll maybe make a little, don't those threads bother you? They bother me. And it was funny, Laura said to me, I don't cut them when they're hanging on the outside edge because I know I'm going to trim them off later, which is fine. I don't, you know, if they don't bother you, don't worry about it. I just needed to explain why you guys see me spending so much time trimming threads. So I got a jacket out to show you. I'll show it to you in a couple minutes. And it was made on a sweatshirt. So I'm going to put all the blocks together. Don't really need a ton of instructions other than how to make the biggest part of the instructions is how to deconstruct the sweatshirt but preserve the shape. And there'll be a lot of photos. But this will give you some ideas. And actually this one I had some fabric that was like very small little panels or motifs. And I used that. If you don't want to do a lot of piecing, you can use something like that. Okay, so we got one of these done. And then what you want to do is we're going to just, the bed of my machine must not be very level because that thing rolls all the time. Anyway, we're just going to trim the curved edges with our scissors. You can do it with your rotary cutter if you feel secure enough. But it's important that you cut like right on the line so your seam allowance is the same. If you cut on the line, because when we set this up, the artwork for these blocks, we set them up to be the 1/4 inch so they would match when you join it to the arc or whatever you're joining it to, that they will match. So when you put your edges together, your seam lines will match. And then I'll cut those 2 straight edges with the ruler. Oh, the jacket. This is one. And the squares those are all pieced. Those are on my grid. This is a little strip from the fabric. Those are not pieced. But we're going to do something on the foundations. They won't be quite that small. These bands will be a little narrower. Those are done on my grid, those 1-inch squares. This is both a motif and piecing. We'll do something similar. This is down both arms. That's all on foundation. And if I can do this without flipping the whole thing, the back has a diamond in the middle and surrounded by the squares on the grid. Pretty simple. This is little pieces. We will be putting a piece design in this triangle, and then the stripes are all pieced, all on the foundation. So this is just pleated fabric with some little I don't know what you even call them. They were free floating, sewn in the pleats, and then I just put some beads on them. And the upper part, we did a woven ribbon, and on the cuffs, I have fabric, so you can wear it like that, or you can flip your cuffs up and have your lining show. Pretty wild lining. And then we just bind it. So what we'll do is we'll show how to take the sweatshirt apart, and like I say, keep the neckline from stretching and all that. I take the cuffs off, take the bottom off, added a little length here with batting, and then built the blocks, built the panels, and it will be adjustable for different sizes. I think this was made, I believe, on an extra large sweatshirt. Comes out to be like a large, so you always want to go one size larger. But anyway, I did add a little bit of length. I like my jackets a little longer, and the panels, like the grid, they'll be extra big. You'll cut them down, and it'll show you all of that. But that's just one of them. I'm working on another one right now. I'll probably have enough of it done maybe by Saturday to show you. So, and then I'll be starting another one on Tuesday to show you the steps on how to do the sweatshirt to deconstruct it. So, but it's not real difficult to do, and the sizing, you know what size sweatshirt, and it's just a plain crew neck sweatshirt. I prefer the raglan sleeve. If you can find a sweatshirt, raglan sleeve sweatshirt. And it really doesn't matter what color it is. And to tell you the truth, some of mine I have made on older sweatshirts that had stains on them because I ended up covering it completely. So who cares? It ends up being, the sweatshirt ends up being your batting, basically. It's your the foundation that you're building it on, but it ends up being sandwiched between a lining and your outer artistic stuff. So who cares if it's got paint stains or whatever? I just I wash them when I won't wear them anymore, when they're stained or whatever, and I don't want to wear them anymore. I wash them and then I put them, I have a bin that I used to do a lot of the jackets, so that's why I had so many in different colors. And like I say, the colors really don't matter if you're covering up the whole thing. Now I have some that I just did a yoke on. I'll see if I can't find one. Or maybe I'll have to do another one. But that was a real quick project. Now, has anybody made quilted shoes? Like quilted tennis shoes? Or covered shoes with fabric? Because that's my next project. I'm a shoe hog. Even at my old age, I still love shoes. Only now when I do shows, it's funny. I used to be more about the fashion. Now it's more about the comfort. So talking about quilted tennis shoes or whatever you call them, that really piqued my interest because I could be fashionable and comfortable. I've been looking at some, but gosh, they're expensive to buy the starter set that comes with the soles and the inner sole and a couple different, some tools, but it's like $65, $70 for one pair of shoes. And if you don't know if you're going to be any good at it or not, that was kind of expensive. So the other day, I want to get just some plain white high tops to do, but I went to Walmart and I bought a pair of these. What are these called? Boat deck shoes, I think is what they're called. I don't know, but anyway, I thought I could put a inner sole in it, but I thought this might be kind of easy to cover with fabric. So I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. I've always been one of those matchy dressers. So, okay, let's get started here. We need to stitch down a couple rings so we can get started. So we're going to do the same thing, just run and make sure I don't have anything. Nope, we're good. You can spray base this too. At first if you spray based, at first it does feel a little heavier or whatever, but and I try not to iron it very much until it's sewn, because but once you start ironing it with steam, it will the glue all goes away, dissipates, and then it's you can't tell that you used it. I prefer to sew it down. It's entirely up to you. I made a little spray booth from a cardboard box, and then I have a roll of the end of a roll of butcher paper that I just put in the bottom till it gets too sticky, and then I just put another one on top of it. But it kind of keeps the overspray from getting on your cutting mat or your the bed of your sewing machine or whatever. And I keep it right here next to my machine. I have a drawer that pulls out, so I set it on top of the drawer. And that way I don't get a mess all over everything. Okay, see where this line is, we're going to add a piece of fabric here, and we're going to add a piece of fabric up here. So as long as you have 1/4 of an inch of fabric going past this line, you're good, which is why we got away with only having to cut a 12-inch wide strip of fabric to put this on. But look, you get this basted down and trimmed out, and your ring is done. And I think I got my tension fixed. And then just lift that up and move this over. Okay. Okay, now we're just going to trim these on the broken line. And like I say, if I was just doing this at home, I would do all of these. I mean, it's not that many. What did I say? Eight total arcs of each color. So it'd go pretty fast. And then I do all the outer corners and all the melons. And I just stack them all up, and then I get to sewing. And you'll be shocked at how fast this goes together. So if you wanted to do, this is a table runner. I also have it as a 4-ring table topper, square table topper. And the I got to check and see what we call it, double wedding rail quilt. That is a full-size quilt. It's like it ends up, if you do all of the borders, it ends up being a king-size quilt. I can't put my last inner or outer border on it because it'd be too big to go on my long arm. I have a 10-foot table, and you know, there's like, I don't know, nine inches at each end that is wasted space because your machine has to go past. Let's see, I'll just cut that out like that. So you lose at least a foot. So I figured I would just put it on without the last borders and quilt it, and then I'll add the borders and do like, you know, do it like you would do a quilt as you go kind of thing, and then quilt it on my baby lock. Okay, so here's a part A and a part B in the turquoise. And I am going to sew, oh, I got to do the light blue. I'll do one of these. What do I need for first one? I need a part A. So we'll do the part A so we can get to putting this together. Okay, and then we'll cut this one out. On the line. So when I gotta look into doing the music. Okay, cut this, and we're gonna be ready to start sewing. I was at the doctor this morning and he said, any new aches or pains? I said, no, same old arthritic hands. And he says, do you do any kind of exercise? And I said, yes, I sew every day. He goes, oh, that's the best exercise for arthritic hands. Keep them moving. Sometimes when I start in the morning, they're pretty stiff, but by the end of the day, they feel great. Okay, so we are going to do, this is part A. We're going to put it on the melon. So remember, just like in the other double wedding ring, we got to clip at the marks. Okay, right sides together. We're going to join the ends just like in the double wedding ring. Want to match this point where the two solid lines come together with where the two solid lines come together on the melon. Put your pin in just like that. Match the start of the curved edge. And then we're just going to roll the two edges together and pin as we go. Just work our way around. I'll do one more, then I like to go to the other end. Go down here and match that point there with this point back here. And turn that so the start of the curved edge, those two edges match. Okay. And then we'll work back towards the middle. Okay, so next week we're going to do the jacket, and I think the week after that we are going to do our modern sampler. It has 8 different blocks, 3 of each block. So I will be making one of each day. Maybe may have time to do 2 each day. Depends on which block it is. And we may take 2 weeks because you'll get to see all the different blocks, how to make all those different blocks. So if you want to sew along with me, you can order the modern sampler pattern, and it makes, oh, I'm going to have to look it up. It's a good size quilt. I think the blocks finished. See, that just fit nicely. Didn't have to stretch or pull or anything. And now we're just gonna stitch on that line, and I like to have my needle down, and of course when there's a pin there it won't feed it through. There we go. And again, I hang on to this, the upper piece, so I can kind of help feed, what's that? Feed the fullness in. And it's almost like you're sewing a straight seam. It's laying flat. Hang on to that pin, keeping it in there as long as I can. Okay. Oh, that's what that was. Okay, we're good. Beautiful. And now I just have to wait for my iron to heat up again. Press it nice and flat. And I think the seam allowance wants to go out this way, so on these, it's the way that the fabrics want to lay is the way I tell you to press your seam allowance. Come on. Okay. So now we're going to add, this is the part we made right here. Whoops. Right here, this one and this one. So now we're going to do this. We've got to add the end piece in blue and the end piece in the turquoise. So that's our part B. So before we add those, we got to use our straight edge and fold this back along the seam line. Use our add a quarter ruler and trim off that little corner there. Yes, I know I say it every day, time to change the blade. And then we're going to come down here, do the same thing at this end. And this one, it tells you in the pattern where to place your colors. I'm not looking at the pattern today, I'm looking at the quilt. Okay, so we put right sides together, edges even, just like that. Flip it over and sew in the line. I know you're there. Okay, and then we'll press this. And then this end, we're going to put the light blue square. Cut that thread. Put that right there, edges even and kind of centered with the broken line. And press this one. I always set the stitches, it's just habit now. Okay, then I'm going to just run a basting stitch just on that very end. to hold that in place. See, I make sure it's flat and not distorted. It just makes it so much easier to get it trimmed and so when you sew it to the next piece or whatever, it's going to stay there. Actually, I think this ends up being the outer edge of the quilt top, so you really want it held in place. And remember, for those of you that are new, this is a leave-in foundation. They come pre-printed. We tell you what size to cut all your pieces, and our instructions have wonderful photograph, step-by-step instructions. Each photo has an explanation. Shows you every step so you can make these awesome quilts and then leave the foundation in. You do not have to rip it out. I'm going to cut those with my scissors. The foundations don't add any weight or bulk to your quilt, but they do keep everything nice and square. Like these curved edges, they're not going to stretch. As you know, when you sew curved edges together, invariably, just by the nature of the fabric, there will be some stretching, which will then make for bubbling in your quilt, and you don't have that with this. And you don't have to spend all that time picking paper out. And it's a fabric, so it's much easier on your needle. Okay, so this is the piece we're going to add it to. Going to go just like this. So we're going to snip right here at this seam where I added piece 2 and 3. We're going to snip right up to the seam, because we're going to be stitching a straight line here, and then right here we're going to pivot and we'll start the curved seam. So it comes out much nicer if you clip it real close to your seam line there. You want to do these clips just shy of the solid line. That's where you're going to be sewing. And then at this end, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to clip right up real close to that seam. Now we're going to put right sides together, and I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to put it right here at this point, just right ever so slightly to the side of the stitching. So when you look through here, look to the other side, your pin's coming out right at the seam line. And then we're going to put it in over here. We're going to stick that pin in right on the seam line, right at the point of the melon. I think actually I got to go up a couple more threads. And obviously, the more accurate you are with your pinning, the more accurate you're going to be with your stitching. And we're going to just worry about matching the start of the curved part here. This is the curved part. We want those fabric edges to meet. And I want to hold this up, the pin perpendicular. And then I'm going to grab another pin and I'm going to bring it down here. Well, I think that's a bent pin, and put it in there. You don't want to rock your pin, and this goes for traditional piecing as well. If you rock your pin in through both layers and then pull it up like this, you're actually making the layers of your fabrics move. So if you do that and you look, sometimes your seam doesn't quite match, because when you rock the pin, you usually will move the top layer stays up and the bottom layer moves down. So, and that, like I say, that applies to traditional piecing as well. And then before I get too far along, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to match this corner right here where the seam line and the solid line come together. Talk about arthritic hands. And then I'm going to put it in right, see, right at that point. And match just the curved edge right there. Put a pin in. There we go. These edges are not going to line up right now. Don't worry about it. I'll show you in a minute what we're going to do with that. And then we're just going to roll these two edges together and don't pin your fingers. And just scoot that up so those edges match. On this part, when I'm pinning, I'm holding the two fabrics in place so I can put the pin in and rock it. You know, it's not going to change it. But it's when you have multiple layers of fabric and you rock your pin, the more layers of fabric, the more it will move your fabrics to not match. Ever so slightly, but okay, and sometimes here, I think this is going to be fine. Sometimes if you get just a little teeny extra in the middle, if you go back and ease it in, it'll fit just fine. You know, you might have to unpin a couple pins. So like this one, I think there's a little too much fullness for my... And then follow the curve and it works right in. Okay, now we're going to, so then you're going to come back here to the end and you want to pivot from the seam line. Put your finger right there and pivot this so your two straight edges match, just like that. And I don't usually do the other end until I actually get down there to sew it. Actually, I suppose we could. You see, this is how off they are. You want to pivot this, pivot your top one. See, they match. They match perfect. Pin it. And when you sew this, you do have to stop where the curved part starts. And just sew this straight line, and the fullness is going to pull this way. You want to pull it that way so you keep this straight till you get right. Sometimes I'll use my awl to help push to keep the edges even. And then we're going to come down here to where that cross seam is. The end of the curve. We're going to lift it up, lift up the presser foot, pull the fullness to the back. So we just have a nice straight line to stitch here. And there it is. I have trouble. My camera doesn't move with me so much. Okay, so now we're going to take it over here and we're going to press it. I'll show you those points. See, that came out just right. Both ends. This end as well. And I like to turn it over, make sure that the seam allowances are all going the right way. So there we have our first melon. And now this side is going to get that. Will go on there. And then we'll do the two parts to make the star for this side down here. But let's just, since this is ready to go, again, you want to clip where the marks are. Not quite up to that solid line, but you're clipping through the basting stitch. That's fine. And you don't have to cut the V out. Just do one little cut there. Okay, turn it over, right sides together. Now, just like in the double wedding ring, this is not going to go out to the end. It only goes the point here where the two solid lines come together. We're going to put a pin in right at the very end of that line, and it's going to go into the seam right here. You'll get perfect right on the solid line. Actually, I think I'm just barely above it. But you want to make sure your pin goes right into that seam. And then, and I do rock this one, sort of. I hold it in place and pin it. And then we're going to just start rolling those two edges together, just like before. Once you start doing this, you get the drift of it. Curved edges or curved piecing is very simple, especially with the foundation, because it doesn't allow you to stretch at your natural instinct and just the natural manner of the fabric. It's very hard not to stretch it. And now I go down, I pinned a few, and now I'm going to go down to the other end and do the same thing, match it with this point right there. bring that in. So you see it's not going out. This is the outer corner of the block. And then we're just going to start working our way back towards the middle. Like that. And like I say, you don't want to stretch it at all. Just keep matching those edges. I know a lot of you hate to pin. Like I say, I tried the clips, but I have to pull them out so far in advance of the presser foot that they really, they let the fabric move too much. See, that's going to fit just beautiful. Okay, all fit in there beautiful. So now we're going to stitch on the line. And I start at the end of the fabric. And again, I lift up the edge to help ease the fullness around so I keep it from puckering. Now, you guys know I've told you this before, when I'm not on camera, I sew over my pins. It means changing the needle a little more often when you do hear it hit. I really don't recommend it. Sometimes I don't. I know it's a habit I really should get into not doing. Taking the pins out. But see, I'd have to be taking if I had a clip here, I'd be taking it out already. And that's a big expanse with nothing to hold the thread, the edges even. Okay. If I did everything right, we should have a corner done here. Looks pretty good to me. And then I just lay it down, and when I first start pressing it, I just put the nose of my iron along the seam line so that I know that the seam allowance underneath is going towards the outside. And then I just come back and I press it. Give it a good pressing. And turn it over. Everything looks good. Okay, so now we got the corner on. That on the quilt, That's going to be this part right here. See, we have it so that the intersections where the rings come together, they look like they're woven through. This one's over the top over there. This one's over the top, and this one's over the top. So they look like they're woven. Kind of cool. And it explains all of that in the pattern. Now we're going to do a corner for the star part. So fabric piece, I'm going to make sure that I get, let's see, this is, flip it over because that's where the fabric's going to be. So where's the curve? If I would put the curve on the right way, this is the piece right here. And come down. So part D reversed is the light side. Piece number 1 is, or piece number 2 is the light. Make sure I have that right. Like this, it's a dark. Yeah. Comes down like that. Okay, I don't know if you can see, this is the foundation. And remember, when I'm doing it like this, I'm looking, oops, part D reverse. No, it's got to be this way. Ta-da, this way. Yes, this way. Because when you're doing it like this, when you're holding it up, you got to have the wrong side of the foundation looking at you, because remember, the fabric's going to be on this side. So I thought reverse was piece number 2 is light on the reverse side. I was right the first time. So we're going to take a background piece of fabric, lay it with the wrong side facing up, and we're going to take, this is part D reversed. We're going to set it on top of the fabric. This is space 1 right here. This is space 2 over here. We've got about 1/4 of an inch of fabric going past the line. This is our seam line where we're going to add piece number 2. So I'm going to keep everything together, I'm going to stitch in the seam allowance. Keep that, so you got a good seam line there. We're just gonna and again, you could spray base this if you wanted. That's close enough. Yes, I did quilt it on this, on my baby lock. And if I don't think the instructions, let me look. I don't know if they show how I quilted it or not. You can see everything is photo, step by step. See, it shows you here how to match the points. Let me see, that's the back end. And it shows you how to make them, where your colors are. I think, no, I don't think it shows how I quilted it. If I could find the last page. 11, 13, that's how to Shows you how to pin it together, how to lay it out. But if you make it and you want to see how I laid it out or how I quilted it, I'd be happy to send you a diagram. I can do a PDF or whatever and show you how I quilted it. It's just all straight. Well, yeah, I did it all with feed dogs up. There's no free motion on that. Okay, so we want the light fabric, piece number 2. When you're setting your fabrics like this, let me press that. So of course, it's right sides together, but remember this point here goes out, it's longer. So you don't want to set your fabrics like this, because then when you open it up, it's not going to cover the whole part, if you can see that. So you want to offset this a little bit. Bring the top corner here. It just has to go a 1/4 inch past that line. So you can see I have plenty to go the length. Turn it over, and we're going to sew on that line. I disappeared. I'm sending Laura a fabric kit today, and for a surprise project for her to work on. And I'm going to send her the quilt design so she will use her sit-down long arm. I want her to use that. Okay, so we press that open, and I am going to stitch in the seam allowance to hold this all together, to hold the fabrics in place for when I go to sew it to another part. And just a little bit of turn, that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to trim around the edge, trim that curved line right on the line. And then I will trim the straight edges or the straight lines with my ruler. Quarter inch from the solid line. And cut across here. I'm not going to cut that point off yet. Okay, now we're going to do the other one, the other half of the star point. Fabric piece number 1, wrong side facing up. We're going to take this and we're going to set it just like this, with about a 1/4 inch going past the line between space 1 and space 2. And again, I am going to stitch this down to hold it in place. It just makes it a lot easier when we're joining different pieces together, different parts together. It's just really nice to have it attached to the foundation. And I'll do a little bit of the return here. Just keep that corner. That's good. Okay, so now we're going to take the darker of the lavenders and put right sides together. And remember, we want to offset it to the right on this one a little bit. And if you're ever in doubt, just I always say pretend so, fold it open at about 1/4 of an inch, and there's plenty there to cover the whole space. Turn it over and sew on that line. And then we're going to press that open. Nice and flat, really flat. And then I am going to stitch it just from up here, just down this side, hold it. I don't like the fabric flopping around away from especially because once we cut this, it is going to be on the bias. So if you stitch it to the foundation, you don't have to worry about it stretching. Okay, and now we're going to trim that curved edge with the scissors. And on this, on the table runner, I wanted the ends curved. You know, the top of it, top and bottom. So you just don't put that plain corner on it. So you, either end, you don't, on that outer circle, you don't put the, this outer corner, you don't put it on those. So you really only have one ring set that's completely, that's a complete square. You can, if you want to make it rectangular, you certainly may. There's enough foundations in the pattern, so you can do that. I promise I'm going to change the blade when I get done here today. I promise. And my cutting mat, my poor cutting mat is so old and worn. Okay, so now we're going to sew these two pieces. Is that how I do it? No. I'm okay here, guys, honest. We want to do it like this. Okay. I knew. It's been a while since I made this. So we're going to match those edges. You can use your clips if you want here. I fold that back. Make sure my seams are even. The problem with this is your seam allowances go the same direction on both sides, so you can't just nest it together. You really have to match it. So I put a pin in right at the seam, just like that. Hold it nice and straight, and then this is where I'll use another pin, and then want to make sure our points are matched, which they should be. Oh, look at that, perfect. Okay, so we'll just sew that down there. Now I can cut that. And open this up. Matches pretty darn good. So I am going to press my seams open because you have what do we have? 1, 2, 3 layers of fabric there and 3 layers there. So you don't want 6 layers all going to one side. And your foundation gives you added strength in your seams, so there's less pressure on your fabric. So you can open your seams. So there we have, this is the other corner. This is going to go on here like this. And then that will make up 1/4 of a full ring. So now we're going to treat this as if it's just one piece. And we'll clip our seam allowance at these marks. Like I say, you don't have to cut the diamond or that triangle out, just clip somewhere close. Okay, now we're going to put right sides together, and we do the ends just like we did the other side. Put a pin in at the very end where the 2 solid lines meet. And then we're going to put the pin in right here at this seam where the 2 fabrics come together. You want to put the pin, have it coming out in the solid line. And I just hold that and repin it like that. And we're going to just start rolling these edges. So remember, this does not go all the way out here. This is the corner of your block. And we'll do a little bit from this side. And then we're going to go to the other end and start pinning from there. And then, so I'm going to go down to this end and put my pin in there and put it in here at this seam right there on the line. You can see that. And make those 2 edges match. And then we'll just work our way back to the other side. And don't forget, next week we're going to work on the jacket, the sweatshirt jacket. And then the week after that, we're going to be working on the modern sampler. I'll bring in the fabrics, bring them out here on Saturday and show them to you. I do have fabric kits available. And if you want to order the pattern or the pattern and the fabric kit, all of our patterns include the foundations for the project. So whatever it takes to make the project is included. And but if you want to order it, you've got time, so you can have it and sew along with me. Okay. And now we shall sew it. Not much to hold on to when you first start out. Whoops. I don't know, the curved lines, the curved piecing just seems so much easier to me when you have a line to follow. And I know doing inset seams, I always avoided projects with inset seams until I started working with this, and it's just so easy. Okay, there we are. Let's give this a press. See, I like to put the nose of the iron right along the seam line to kind of push it out and then go back and press it nice and flat. I think I'm out of water. Might be why I'm not getting any steam. Oh, there. So we've got 1/4 of a full ring done. There we are. 3 more and we'll have a complete ring. So that was pretty simple. Basically, probably what takes the longest is getting your foundations on the back side of all your fabric pieces. And my best advice, what to me goes the fastest, is to sit, do them all, stitch around them all. And then I even cut them out and I have them stacked. So as I'm working on these, it goes much, much faster. Actually putting it together is real fast. So, and accurate. So that's it for today. Remember, this is one of our sweatshirt jackets that we're going to work on. And I'm still working on that one. I've got a lot of it, all the I've got a lot of the rings all made. So, like I say, the pattern is partially written. This is what we worked on today. This is the pattern. Fabric kits are available with this line of fabric. And I think that's about it for today. I thank you all for joining me. Hope you learned a little something, and go to our website, check all this out. And don't forget that the week after next, we're going to be doing the modern sampler. Take a look at it. Um, I'll show you all the fabrics on Saturday also. It's a new fabric kit. Similar to the one that's shown on the website, but there might even be a picture of the fabric collection for the new fabric kit. But I will share that all with you on Saturday, and hopefully you will want to sew along with me. Like I said, there's 8 different blocks, and there's 3 of each different block, a total of 24 blocks in that quilt. So um, I think I covered everything. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. You can send me a message if you want to see something on Saturday's show. Otherwise, I think we're going to finish this one up, this Starlit Rings, and maybe get you started on a jacket if we get that far. Um, but I think that's it. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great Friday. And I will see you Saturday at noon Pacific time. And we'll get going on this some more. And if you want to see any of the projects that we've worked on over the past few weeks, if I've got progress to show you, I would love to share with you if you want to see any of them. So let me know. I've been working on them all. So we'll see you Saturday at noon. Thanks. Bye bye.